that fun stuff.
There we go. We are live.
All right. Okay. My on. All right, good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'm looking through, we have a number of guests. So just scrolling down the list, starting with Helen Marie Gordon. If you just unmute yourself and introduce yourself, your name and what city you're from.
Hello, good evening. My name is Helen Marie Gordon. I'm from Vallejo, California.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have next on my list is Council Member Christina Ariola. Introduce yourself.
She is actually my alternate. She just hasn't been sworn in yet.
Did you submit a letter? Do I have that on file?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then we'll swear her in later in just a second. I see Sandra Lowe. So we'll jump down to her.
I was asked by Jeff as your most local DNC member if I would drop in case there's any questions regarding the process that we're about to undertake.
Awesome. And thank you for joining us. And Troy Finley.
I'm unmuted now.
Welcome. We'll swear you in just a minute. Troy, did you want to introduce yourself? No.
Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Caught me on my phone trying to get into this meeting. Hello, I'm Troy Finley. I am the president of the National Action Network's Bay Area chapter, lifelong Solano resident. Just stopping in to say hi and hello.
Okay, welcome. And then so one other person, Cheryl, you want to unmute and introduce yourself?
Sure. I have bronchitis, so my voice is very low. Cheryl said it. West County Wastewater. I'm also the Northern California Environmental Caucus Vice Chair.
Welcome.
I'm
Thank
just
you.
here.
I'm glad you could join us. Tom, if you'll first pull up the land acknowledgement, and we will ask Jeff to read it tonight.
We pause to acknowledge that Solano County Democratic Central Committee of the Democratic Party sits on the land of the Miwok and Patwin people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and the Miwok and Patwin people of the past and present.
Thank you, Jeff. And now, Tom, you pull up the oath. So all members and alternates who have not yet taken the oath, will you please come on camera and unmute yourself? And actually raise your hand. Let me do it that way as well. So sure that you're being properly identified for the record. So I guess we said that Christina has not been sworn in. Anyone else who has not been sworn in? Okay. I state your name.
I, Christina Ariola,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter
and will faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and during such time as I hold the office of Central Committee Alternate.
And during such time as I hold the office of the Central Committee, it doesn't say the it doesn't-
Alternate.
alternate.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been sworn in. Now you get to be sworn at along with the rest of us.
Ah, so honored.
All right, thank you. Next item we have is to approve our minutes and agenda. So first we have the minutes of our regular meeting in June, which were sent out. Does anyone have any additions, corrections, or deletions to make? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for June
This is
20.
Paula, so moved.
All right, is there a second?
This
I'll
is
second.
Gian, second.
All right. Okay, if we
Who
will,
was that?
Gian McDougal,
Okay.
we will launch the poll. And all voting members, please vote. If you're a guest or if you're an alternate and your members here, please do not vote.
Just click the X in the upper right corner.
Yips.
How's that coming, Tom?
All right, it's been a minute and 10 seconds. Motion passes. 25 out of 26, one abstention.
Okay. Next up, we have the minutes from our planning meeting on June 29th. Those have been sent out as well. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions for those? Not seeing any hands, so I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Karen moved. Is there a second?
This is Paula, I'll second.
All right. Launch that poll, please. Yeah, all voting members, please vote early and often, or as often as Tom will let you.
Well, it's only once. But it's not me, it's Zoom.
They must have a different setting for Chicago, I'm sure.
Okay, it has been a minute and 10 seconds. Motion passes with 4 abstentions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all. Then finally, we have tonight's agenda. And are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to that agenda?
If you want, I'll bring up a copy.
Please do.
Well, my computer seems to not be cooperating.
Jeff, I see your hands up while Tom's pulling it up.
I didn't submit a written report and I'm also not on the agenda, but I do need to make a quick note as the Region 3 director.
Okay.
Just a quick note.
Okay, is it in the nature of an announcement?
No.
Okay.
Don, I am not able to bring that up. My computer seems to be having a conniption.
Okay. Well, I'll just remind people that our committee reports that we have on the agenda are fundraising, the approval of the endorsement questionnaire, the legislation committee's monthly reports, then our business items, setting in dates for our endorsement meetings, the discussion of the national convention and all the issues surrounding that, letter of appreciation to President Biden, and scheduling of debate nights.
One thing, Don, I do need a point of business for the IRO for our
Okay,
website renewal.
that is, I'm going to treat that as part of your report.
Okay, I did include it as my report.
Don, there's also a you know what, I may have the old agenda up.
Okay,
Excuse me.
yeah, I think we had a prior agenda. I will just note that even though we have the club and elected officials reports on there, we ask you to submit them in writing. And we will not be taking oral reports this evening so that we can have plenty of time to discuss the news. And if you did not already submit a report, I would encourage you to go ahead and email that to the secretary tonight or tomorrow and get that out.
Could you scroll down a little bit? I think the date is wrong on the fundraiser.
That's the date I was told it was changed to, was the 14th.
Where is it here? Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, then I've got an old agenda pulled up. Sorry.
All right, no problem.
Okay, with the addition of what Jeff needs to report on, I move that we approve the agenda. This is Paula.
Okay,
Second, this is Carrie Birdseye.
I'll launch the poll, please.
Mhm.
while that's, the voting is going on, just jumping to what I see in chat, I'm going to encourage, Monica to perhaps, if she can cut and paste the newspaper article and email it to the Central Committee, or email it to secretary or myself, and we can send it out. I don't think everyone gets the DR anymore.
Well, the YouTube's going to be in Friday's newsletter, but I can do that tomorrow, but it won't be happening today because I can't find my other set of glasses. So I'm lucky I made it here today.
Poll has ended. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And with that, our first guest speaker of the evening, who was invited well before the events of the last few weeks, we invited him to update us on how his campaign is going following his resounding success in the primary. So, former West Sacramento Mayor and State Senate nominee, Christopher Cabaldon, go ahead and we can spotlight you and take it away.
All right. Well, thanks so much, John. It is it's amazing to see all your, well, except for Yvonne, it's amazing to see all your faces. So many friends and so many people that for the last year have been a source of constant inspiration. Tough questions, that you can never let it be said about Solano County that Democrats here don't take extremely seriously their democracy, their candidates, and I'm very proud that we won in Solano County, and it's mostly due to most of the members of this committee and the clubs and everyone else. And I first want to say thank you, and then also those that supported Jackie Elward and Rosanna Verde-Araliga and those two candidates that stepped forward. This was a remarkable election in a district where we haven't had a person of color run ever. All of us were, all the Democrats, 2 immigrants, 1 LGBT. But this was the most diverse field of candidates in almost any Senate district in California, and it was right here in a district that a lot of people might not have expected. And those were never negatives. Those were always a window into communities that are often invisible and that need to be represented and heard. And I'm just really proud of what happened during the primary election. I want to say thanks to everybody, no matter what side you were on, and also to say thanks that we've all come together since. You may have seen as I'm sure most of you know, the Democratic Party, state party, endorsed me for the November election. The California Labor Federation and dozens of labor unions have come together as well as the community leaders throughout the district in every one of the 6 counties, and because we have to be united now going into November. And what a couple of weeks this has been. Sandra Lowe, I think I'm following her around. I was just in another Sonoma Democratic Club meeting with her an hour and a half ago, and up there, a company called Matson, which was financed largely by and run by a former Republican congressional candidate, like supremely anti-choice and anti-reproductive freedom and LGBT rights, was buying up, the town parcel by parcel by parcel. Their entire Ponzi scheme fell apart, and their mission to destroy Sonoma, basically the town and the valley, has landed them in fighting each other and probably going to jail. A big win for the community there. And then obviously, in this last week, the battle that I know many of you have been involved in, I certainly have from the very beginning, to stop the California Forever project, and particularly the ballot initiative from going forward, was an amazing win. I mean, we took on some of the most powerful people with unlimited resources and prevailed. And so I think we have a lot to be proud of in our local communities. And then, of course, the energy, the excitement about the national race that Vice President Harris brings, and the really profound leadership that President Biden has shown of historic nature. It's just like when we all learned in school how amazing it was that George Washington said, you know what, I could serve another year or two, or a term or two, or maybe for the rest of my life. And that his moment, that decision that he made not to, set the course of our democracy ever since. And in many ways, what Joe Biden just did was very similar. And so I'm proud of what he's done. I'm proud of and excited for the vice president. I'm proud of us as Democrats. We had our, over the last month, we've had our fights and our screams and our yells and our organizing and all of it. And we're now all coming together as a force, in which we will have to do. And so as we look towards November, I mean, most of you know my opponent, Republican Tom Bogue from the Dixon City Council, who won the primary. He came in first in the primary election. So even though he didn't campaign very hard, our district is it's a purple district, and are taking it very seriously going into the general election. That said, for me, the most important part of the strategy is that when we win as a party, all up and down the ticket, then I know I will win also. We'll prevail in the 3rd Senate District if we can win at every level, and especially at the White House and our own House seats, and then the Senate seats next door. And so I'm committing with each of you to be working on those races. Maggie Krell, who's a Democratic nominee in the Assembly District next to me, I'm helping her organize a trip to Nevada to campaign, and several of the college Democrats groups are doing the same thing in congressional district after congressional district here in California. And so I'm going to be really devoting a lot of my attention, in addition to continuing to crisscross the district, to also be making sure that we are helping to make sure that that we protect the country, our democracy, and of course what we're trying to accomplish here in California. So I'm thrilled. I couldn't be happier about that, and I'm jazzed and excited for the November election. And I know from just working with all of you on so many that can't be done kind of projects that we pull off together, that we will do this too. And so glad to be here tonight, and happy to answer questions or hear feedback or comments that you may have as well. But it's just great to be with you, and looking forward to a highly energized and then successful fall campaign.
If anyone has questions for Mayor Cabaldi, will you please raise your hand? I'll call on you. I'm not seeing any.
I see Monica. It looks like Monica.
Up just as
everyone else has already asked me 25 questions over the last year. So.
I stayed neutral until I made sure I was secure. So, Chris, when you get sworn in, how many seats do you have, and how many of us get invited?
I don't know. It's a great question. The Senate gallery doesn't even hold as many people in it as there are senators and their spouse. So right. In the gallery itself, I don't really know.
Usually it's in the Memorial Hall, right there on that corner. So I'm just putting in that all of us here want to come.
All right. Okay, you know more about it than I do. I've been trying to fight to make sure that I can keep a Vallejo office and a backup. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting that stuff done. I haven't even thought to ask about that specific day, but thank you. I will definitely follow up, and then we will be doing a set of activities around the swearing in and all of that, both in the Capitol in Sacramento, but also in the district. So you can count on it. You will be getting multiple invitations from me. Thanks, Monica.
All right. I will just say, as you may be organizing activities on behalf of other candidates, whether locally or across the state or country, that you be sure to let us know so that we can join in. And I'm sure everyone has it already, but just would you please drop your contact information in chat, so anyone who doesn't know how to reach you can have that information if they have questions that occur to them later on. Or if they want to.
Glad to do it. Glad to do it. And I'm not one of those candidates whose phone number has changed since the election. Don't worry. So I'm sure you all have it, but I'll drop it in right now too.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. And I know you're very busy, so.
I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have on the agenda is the opportunity for public comment. This is for guests to our meeting. Comments are limited to 2 minutes each, and additional time may not be granted. So again, this is for guests, not members or alternates. So if any of our guests wish to make public comment at this time, please raise your hand using the raise hand feature. I'm not seeing any hands go up. So go ahead and close that.
Mine's don't have a hand option,
Oh, okay.
maybe because I'm ice.
All right.
Is okay
All
if I
right. Let me,
speak now?
yeah, let me start the
Hello.
time. And as soon as you start speaking, I'll start the clock. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So my name is Helen Marie. I'm a commissioner and a Soul Chance chair. And I'm running for a position. I did not know the protocol, so I didn't want to step out, but I want to see how I can go about pursuing endorsement.
All right. We will be approving our endorsement questionnaire later this evening and setting our dates for our endorsement meetings. In brief, the Central Committee's process for local candidates is this. Any registered Democrat who wishes to seek our endorsement, we will endeavor to reach out to them, or they can reach out to us. They fill out the questionnaire, and then we will schedule them to appear before the committee during one of our endorsement meetings. We'll interview you, and then there will be a vote among the membership as a whole. To receive this committee's endorsement, a majority of all members present and voting is required. So that's the process in a nutshell. As I said, we'll be finalizing several of the details this evening. So if you're running for office, stay tuned. And obviously make sure your contact information is available through whichever office, whether it's the registrar or the city clerk, so that we can reach out to you again. So thank you. Any other, I don't see any other hands up, so we'll go ahead and close public comments at this time. Next item I have is our treasurer's report. Karen, if you want to give the report as soon as Tom brings up the monthly report.
Nice song. I don't know, Karen. I thought that was
Very dramatic
touch.
report.
Yeah. Hey, blow your socks off. Okay, right.
So, Karen,
Yes.
which am I supposed to bring up the 4 final or the 3?
4 dot. Let's see, probably the 3. I think the 4 dot is the detailed legend. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have it right in front of me. So.
Yeah, I think the 3 was the amended monthly report.
Was it?
Okay. Well, let's just see if it is, and if it isn't, we will change it.
Okay. Okay, that's the legend. So you want to bring up the other one. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, oh, good. It's included to both of them. Great. It's included together. Okay. So good evening, everyone. I am going to give you the update on our July 2024 Treasurer's report. So beginning with the federal account, we had a beginning balance of $2,824.52. An allocation transfer of $509.20 and a contribution of $95. Now, the contribution will be listed in the legend. You guys can take a look at that. The $95 includes contributions from our debate night. And there was Monica Brown, Andrea Sorsay, Jack Flynn, Bridget Hunley, Anna Patero, Mona, Whitney Jacobs, of $10 each for them. And then there was the $35 Act Blue for Michelle Pellegrin. Continuing on, dues income, we have $70 Act Blue from Jeannie White. And our total credits were $674.20. All right. Then moving on to our debits, River City Business Services, $474.99. Our storage unit, again, we didn't have it on our June report because of the data capture. So we have both months, June and July on this report, $136.99 for each month. Our ActBlue merchant fees, $1.39 with total debits of $750.36 with a federal ending balance of $2,748.36. Moving on to our state account, we have a beginning balance of $2,525.08. Watch party income of $20, that was Kevin McNamara, and watch party contribution of $240, which included Miguel Castillo, Kai Eusebio, Angelo Velasco, Roel Jacob Francisco, Karen Bryant Rogers, Pat Toth Smith, Bernil Brumfield, Kay Patrice Williams, Karen Bryant Rogers and Paula Barr for $10 each of those entries. $70 to Tiffany Jones, 20 Bonnie Hamilton, and 25 James Hardwick. And again, another 25 by James Hardwick, totaling $240. So our total credits, adding the $20 watch party income, was $260. Looking at our debits, we had ActBlue Technical Services of $9.34. We have the allocation transfer that we contributed to our federal account of $509.20 with total debits of $518.54. Our state ending balance there was $2,266.54 with total federal and state accounts equaling $5,014.90. So at the end, you can see that the detailed account is the second page on the report. And so you can look at that specifically if you didn't catch it. Additionally, I submitted the 2024 budget, and that was attached in the email that Don sent out, and you can look at that. I'm not going to go over that right now. Okay, thanks so much. Any questions? Okay, if you do have any and you think about them, you can email me at treasurer@Solano County Democratic Central Committee, gmail.com.
All right, thank you for that report. We appreciate your thoroughness and attention to detail. Other officers' reports very quickly. Last Saturday, there was an online state executive board meeting, which we approved the party's position supporting, and if I remember, let's see if I remember which ones they were, propositions 2, 4, and 5. In addition to the ones previously, positions previously adopted at the May e-board meeting. The next day, of course, we had that minor news out of Delaware with the president withdrawing from re-election, and that touched off a number of communications back and forth. And Monday evening, we had I think it was Monday, we had a call of all of the delegates to the National Convention, led by Chair Rusty Hicks and attended by such dignitaries as Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi and Congresswoman Waters and several others, in which the California delegation voted to endorse Kamala Harris for president. And that's the report that I have for that. We'll forgo the rest of it for now, because we have most of the rest of it is being talked about later on. Do any of our officers have anything they need to report?
Yes,
I
do, Don.
Okay. Tom, we'll go to you in your IR report.
This was sent out to everyone, but I wanted to make sure that we could at least cover it here. I I do ask that the committee approve spending up to $375 to renew our website on Nation Builder. It is coming due. The invoice won't get to me until tomorrow, but I know the amount is around 336, but I am putting in there a renewal of up to not to exceed 375 so that we can not have any disruption in our website. In years past, there was a snafu where we had the website go down because the check did not arrive in time. That was during COVID. Hopefully, we're not going to have that kind of thing right now. But I would ask that the committee approve that so that we can continue delivering information through our website.
So moved. This is Monica Brown.
I second that move, Karen Bryant Rogers.
Okay, I'm assuming you prepared a poll, Tom. So unless there are
Yes.
questions, we'll launch it.
Sorry, it seems. The other thing, while that poll is running, this is not something that needs action by the committee, but we have at our strategic planning meeting, we discussed a survey to go out to all Democrats in Solano County. And it was asked that Michelle Pellegrin work with a group of people to come up with the questions. We do have those questions in hand, and Don, I'll be routing that, making sure that you have a chance to look at it. And then we will be leveraging that as an email or online survey that we will send out to all constituents that have an email address in our voter registration database, as well as so that they can vote and let us know what they're thinking, what they need. It is a way in which to perform outreach to all of those constituents that we typically have not asked how they're doing or what they're doing. We've just asked for money and for votes. So that is something that in the strategic planning meeting we came up with as an idea to enhance and enforce our presence in the community and get people motivated and involved in our election. And it is passed. So the motion has passed unanimously. Thank you all. Karen, as soon as I have the invoice, I'll be sending it over to you for payment.
All right, thank you, Tom. Do any of our other officers have anything to report? I'm going to just look quickly. I don't, if you do, raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands up. So let me, before I move on, I do want to address questions that were asked in chat. Regarding the storage unit, I'm going to ask that our group that is doing the setting up for the fundraising event update the inventory, because the inventory that I have seen does not jibe with my understanding of the current contents. I'm going to ask them to give us an updated inventory, and then we'll share that with the membership. But in the storage unit, my understanding has a lot of both furniture for headquarters as well as supplies for events such as cutlery and napkins and tablecloths and things. I don't remember the scope of it, so I don't want to mislead anyone. But it has a lot of supplies that we use for events and setting up headquarters when we do that. As for the second question, River City Business Services serves as our bookkeeper and a compliance provider for both state and federal campaign finance reporting. And well, I'm sure Karen can go into greater details. Essentially, they handle all of our financial transactions and reporting to make sure that we're not out of compliance with state or federal campaign finance regulations. So
Yes.
that's why they make the big bucks.
Mhm.
Okay. Next up, we have the committee reports. Fundraising committee, who is here to do that? Carrie or Reneel, whoever is taking the lead to report on fundraising.
I can start off. Hi, this is Carrie Birdseye. We've been working on putting together a summer fundraiser, and we need this committee's approval. What we have in before you is a summer Hawaiian themed fundraiser on Saturday, September 14th from 5 to 9, and we will be holding it at a private home in Benicia. We have some very generous Democrats that want to lend their pool and their home to help raise funds for the committee. Tickets will be $45 up until a certain date, and then we're gonna up them to 60 for those last minute folks that want to come. We have maxed it at 70 people, and so we're hoping to sell this out. And this fundraiser will ensure that we can get out the vote for the November election. So we hope that everybody on this call will join us. Tom's gonna share the details and the Act Blue link to buy tickets. And there's various sponsorships. I was hoping that Tom could share our graphic with the sponsorships, but basically we'll have light food, finger food and drinks, and a silent auction and a dessert auction. So I'm happy to have a good mighty crew helping us plan. Two fellow Venetians, our secretary Kathy Carriage and my alternate Maggie Kolk came up with the idea, gave it to the broader fundraiser team that liked it, refined it, asked all the right questions, and now we're respectfully bringing it to this group. And I'll call upon my fellow fundraising committee members if I've left anything important out.
I don't think you
Sure.
left anything off.
Carrie,
Carrie,
could you just repeat the time, please?
5 to 9.
Okay.
Thank you, Vernell.
you're welcome. Tom, do we have the graphic to show the levels of sponsorship?
Not yet, but Carrie, what was the total budget that you wanted to get approved?
$1,000. We're gonna do it on a budget. We have folks. We're asking our 2 local Hawaiian restaurants for donations or discounted food. We'll be doing a good Costco run, looking for some POG, that passion fruit orange guava juice. We'll have a virgin juice and a spiked juice available. So yeah, we respectfully ask for a budget of $1,000 to stand this event up. The host, they are regular entertainers, so they have a lot of the furniture that we need for a pool party, and they're donating all of that for the evening, which is saving us rental fees on furniture and other items. So we're really looking forward to having a fun night out. September 14th at 5 o'clock. You know, we were talking about the heat. I want to remind this group that 5 o'clock in Benicia is beautiful. And it's going to be a really nice atmosphere and environment around the pool. And if you want to, you can swim, but basically Hawaiian attire would be preferred. And Tom's already talking about wearing his grass skirt.
And I just add that we are also planning and coordinating an auction, art auction. I know there's chatter about the art auction and hopefully a dessert auction.
And Paula has her hand up.
Paula?
Yeah, actually, that I was gonna mention the art auction on that Tom is gonna put online for us with all the art. Whoops.
So we'll have the online auction in advance of the event. Thank you for the reminder. And in addition to some wonderful art that has been previously donated, I missed our strategic planning meeting because Steph Curry was in Benicia, and I got a signed bottle of his whiskey, and I have a picture of me with Steph Curry that I'll bring to the auction and put online. But basically it's an $80 bottle of whiskey that's going for $1,000 on eBay right now. So hopefully we can get between $80 and $1,000 for it at our auction. I'll be donating that.
Okay, Kay Patrice, your hand was next.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that work. I'm very clear that organizing a fundraiser is a lot of work. But when okay, as you could tell, I'm not obsessed about budgets, but I don't know how to function without them. And so when I look at the budget and I see we're, propping up for $1,000, which is reasonable, but I don't see it in the budget. So is there a different budget? Is this what I'm looking at, the operational budget, but then there's another budget that would, lift fundraising in foundational type of events?
Okay, so what are you speaking to? You're talking about the 2024 budget?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what did you want to know? You wanted to know if there was a defined budget for events and various
yeah, the team just asked for $1,000. So and I don't see it here.
Yeah, no, it's not on here because this is the yearly expenses that we've had. So no, there is not a budget for $1,000 that we have delineated so far. We're looking at what we need to make this event happen. And so I will be getting, I guess, all of the expenses that we require, the $1,000, I think, and I think Carrie kind of outlined where that comes from, what that $1,000 would entail. So
Dawn or Paula, can you speak to the past practices on budgeting for fundraising expenses?
Well, just to very briefly, we as any campaign, any fundraising entity will tell you, you need to spend money to raise money. The goal is definitely that we will bring in more than $1,000 so that we will cover our costs and then net sufficient funds to operate and do the things we need to do for the fall. So we do not have a specified line item in the annual budget for fundraising costs. The past practice has been that we consider those costs on an event by event basis. And if Paula wants to speak more to that, she can. But that's just generally how we've approached these in the past.
Christina, you're next.
Thank you, Carrie. Wait, am I unmuted here? Let me just.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Going on the fundraiser there in Benicia, and I think $1,000 is a very achievable, goal. And I just want to clarify what I can do to donate. I myself have accumulated many items for a certain campaign, upcoming campaign. And if chuckle, and If, I think I put in chat, was this going to be a pool party? And I think you addressed that, in your comments. So where can I send any donations or, auction items towards this event?
So
Tom,
Christina?
Can I
Yeah,
call you?
Yeah, so Christina, I put in chat and it'll
Oh.
be coming out in email, a link to a form that you can fill out because we do need to get that information collected, and then we'll arrange to pick it up from you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
So if you look in the chat, you will see there's a link to a form. And there are multiple types of art and donation type things that you can offer, including services if you wanted to like cook a meal for someone, but there is also an other. So be creative.
Noted. I see it. Thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, so I think this is pretty pro forma. We always, this isn't even very much money at all. And we have a guest speaker who wants to talk about the convention. So I would suggest, first of all, I move that we give the fundraising committee this money, and that anyone who has any questions about it can contact Carrie or Vernil, and you guys can just come up with a report to itemize what you're going to need, so we can move on.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a sec?
Yeah, I'd like to second it myself.
Okay, thank you, Pat. But let's finish up with the hands. Hi, Jeff.
What happened? I can't hear.
Right. So I just wanted to add very quickly that some of the smaller committees, we have to remember that a lot of people that are working here are volunteers. A lot of people that end up volunteering for treasurer or that role don't always have a lot of expertise in budgeting, other than personal finances. So it becomes a very complicated role, especially when you're also working with an external party. When it comes to budgeting, oftentimes the smaller committees, just to point out, and I see it happening here too, essentially what's happening is you're forwarding the money. So it's a loan that is going to be repaid at the conclusion of the event. So that is pretty much how some of the smaller committees do it, rather than thinking ahead, what are we going to do this year, and all of these proposed expenses, and have to create buckets that then get modified throughout the year. It's just, okay, we know that we're going to have more than 22 people showing up for this event, so we know we're going to recover our expenses. So we'll be able to make more than that. We just have to pay something ahead in order to make that money back. So
I so appreciate that, Jeff. Thank you very much. And it's our intention to make between 5 and 10 grand on this fundraiser. It may be quite ambitious goal, but if we sell out, we could get close. And with the 2 auctions and donations and sponsorships, we easily can get to the $5,000 range. Christina, you're back.
I think the hand didn't go down.
Okay. Any other questions? Should we take a vote?
Yeah, I think, not seeing any of your hands up, let's go ahead and launch the poll. I'm assuming it's ready.
I always love seeing the Yvonne campers on the screen.
Motion passes.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. We're gonna have plenty of aloha and ohana by the pool in September. Thanks.
Thank you all. I would encourage all of you to, at minimum, buy your individual tickets, whether or not you can attend. Consider being a sponsor, and for that matter, consider just donating to the Central Committee generally, so that we can have the resources to fund the fall campaign. Are the auction items going to be online beforehand? I'm assuming that as soon
Yeah.
as Tom gets the necessary information and does what he needs to do, it will be launched and he will send out an email letting us know, as well as doing the appropriate social media posts and.
Yeah. They'll be online a week or so before, depending on what the fundraising committee asks for. But usually we try to get everything launched at least a week before, and then we can add things afterwards as well. But we really need to get everything in, and please use the form and the link, and you're also going to get that link in email. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the approval of our candidate and ballot measure questionnaires for the November election. I'll turn it over to Carrie. So she's up again.
I apologize to our members that volunteered for this committee. I did not get a meeting on the books, and so we will take comments from members who've received this endorsement questionnaire several times through email. If there's any changes that folks think that we need to make, it's quite long. But it is still very, very relevant outside of the COVID related. Actually, I'm feeling like the COVID related questions are becoming relevant again since numbers are going up. So, Kathy, I think you had a suggested change.
Yeah, I read through it, and in general, I think I worked on it last time. The only change I'd make, there's one question that just refers to what supervisor district you are, and just to leave that blank so people can fill in what office they're going to be applying for. And
yeah, so we actually, just to respond to that, we actually do change it to meet the offices where we have Democratic candidates running, so they can do that. So that is an update that happens before.
Great, thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrice.
So just want to make sure I understand. So 2 months ago, we said we were going to have this meeting. We didn't. I don't know if I'm just missing emails, but I didn't know, and I've read this questionnaire and completed it a time or two. But I didn't know that today we were calling questions to the floor to go over it and exactly you know what our suggested changes were. I don't know if I'm missing something. Help me understand.
Don?
Again, in the ideal situation, the committee would have had the opportunity to meet and review and bring back any suggested changes. That would have been preferable. It didn't happen for various and sundry reasons. So we are where we are. Our bylaws require that we approve the questionnaire before the end of the filing period, so that at least in theory, we're approving it without knowing who all the candidates are and tailoring the questions to the candidates.
Joan, I have a point of order. Isn't there a motion on the floor? It's Michelle. Or did it get voted on?
Motion.
There's no motion.
The last motion I recall hearing was the motion on the fundraising committee, which we approved.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I don't think
Okay,
I've
great.
heard an actual motion to approve the questionnaire yet.
Okay, thanks.
Which is what I was going to ask for, was a motion to approve the questionnaire, subject to any technical or changes that the endorsement committee deem necessary.
Yeah. So let me just say, I'm disappointed. Because we said 2 months ago that there's some some of us had concerns. We raised our hand, we committed, and and not for nothing, our chair of this committee didn't seem to think that there were any changes needed, only for there to be no meeting. And now, like, the changes are now like pushed down our throat because we didn't have the meeting. So obviously we're going to have to move this forward and have and make a motion and of course get this done so we can endorse folks. But I don't know, this just doesn't feel right. So anyway, that's it. I'm done with that.
Okay, Patrice, do you have any suggested changes?
I would have had a ton of suggested changes. I've read it, but I did not come prepared to do my changes of note tonight because I didn't get notification that that was being done tonight. So no, don't have any suggested changes right now.
So I'll move to approve the endorsement questionnaire.
This is Paula. I'll second.
Kathy's hands up. Okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do think wasn't the questionnaire sent out to the whole membership?
Yes, three weeks ago, and then also 6 weeks ago.
And and more recently too. We got it again recently. So I'm glad folks have looked at it. Tom's working on the poll.
Got the poll ready. So we go ahead. Mr. Chair.
Yeah. And I appreciate the point that is being made. It is a valid point that in the perfect world, the committee would have met, interested members would submit their changes. They would have been brought back. We would have had time to debate them before tonight's meeting. But again, for whatever reason, that did not happen. Apologize to those who wanted to make changes this cycle. But we will move forward with whatever technical changes that the endorsement committee deems appropriate so that it can be posted in a timely fashion, assuming it is approved tonight.
A point of information, this is Bonnie Hamilton. So when they were sent out, and honestly, I've got to admit, and I had to abstain because it totally went into my down the river, basically, those emails. If we got, I'm gonna assume we got them. But was there an opportunity to give comment when you sent out the emails? I mean, was it just like, this is just for your information, or was comments asked for in those emails?
For myself, I cannot recall, Bonnie. I just remember seeing the emails and probably, like a number of other members, said it in the back of my head, just assuming that there would be a meeting, and then, did not follow up on the meeting, just assumed I'd get a notice when it happened and moved on with the rest of my life. That's just speaking for myself.
And I'm just going to make a suggestion that maybe in the future, just to give that as an option, because maybe other people couldn't make a meeting either, right? If folks can't make a meeting, but they might have comments, just to make sure there's that specified that, hey, if you have any comments on this, please send them our way and we'll try to do a meeting. Yeah.
And I think that's valid. I think a number of our committee are trying to move to that model when appropriate to encourage feedback, and we will certainly make explicit provision for that in the future where it's appropriate. So thank you for the feedback.
Okay, so the poll has ended. I let it run until 1:30. The motion passes with 18 voting yay to continue with the endorsement questionnaire as it was presented. With modifications, of course, that we already discussed. One person voted nay and 5 abstained.
Could you tell me who seconded that motion?
I believe it was Paula.
It was me. Yeah, Paula.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
All right. And we will get that posted at least 7 days prior to the end of the filing period, as we are now required to do. Legislation report. Bonnie, you're up.
Oh, thank you. I was just responding to Kay Patrice. I was just suggesting that maybe next time she chair that committee and then she can make sure that we have a meeting. That's what I would suggest. Anyway, so let's see. Well, first of all, we met on last Wednesday, sorry, on the 17th. And we do have one action item that we'd like to present. Our member, Joseph Hayden, he's been working diligently at not only locally, but nationally and internationally on commercial tobacco issues, particularly as it relates to tobacco sales to youth and so forth. And right now there is an ordinance in the city of Vallejo, a tobacco retail license ordinance that was presented by the Public Health Law Center. And I did send it. I apologize for sending it a little bit late. I sent it pretty much right before this meeting because it took me a while to put the report together. And we had made a recommendation through the committee that this body endorses this ordinance in Vallejo, as well as any future ordinances that might happen in our Solano cities or in the unincorporated areas of Solano County. Benicia had passed an ordinance, I believe, in 2019. And basically what it does, Vallejo is even though it's a food desert, it's a tobacco oasis. So you can buy tobacco probably on almost every street corner in parts of Vallejo and may not be able to find a fruit or vegetable. So this particular ordinance would do a number of things. I did include some attachments that really spell out what this ordinance would do. There is one that's called the ABC of TRL, which is the tobacco retail license. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at that because it's very telling, and I think it's a very appropriate request. So that is we are asking for this committee to endorse that ordinance and any future ordinances around this issue. I'm just going to go quickly on before we go if there's any other discussion about that. But we also discussed our state bills, which are the ones that are alive. Dawn has written letters in support. All those bills need to be moved by August 16th to the floor. And at that point, we will ask our members to contact our elected folks. We also discussed the ballot measures, and I did put a list of what the California Democratic Party, what their positions on the different ballot measures, but two really stood out. One that we really endorsed was the Prop 4 Parks, Environment, Energy, and Water Bond Measure. That's number one, and I put the link to Ballotpedia with information on that, as well as I came upon one that our own Lori Wilson was one of the leads on this ballot measure, which is to remove involuntary servitude as punishment for crime, and that would be an amendment. So just want to point those out. So anyone, I'm going to go back to the action item. And since it is through the committee, I believe we don't need a second to that. But if there's any discussion, we'll take that through the chair. And if Joseph, if you have anything to add, that would be fine.
I see Monica has her hand up.
I don't have a problem with Vallejo. And Joseph knows, but what I don't like is the idea that if we vote for this, it's good for the whole county. I think that number one, I'm not sure if that's even legal to do, but number two, I think they need to come to us as they go through the process with each governing. So whether it's the unincorporated, which is county, or it's a city. So I'm not, I don't have my glasses to read what you wrote, but if what you're verbally is saying, I cannot support it. But if you're saying we'll just do this strictly for Vallejo, I have no issue. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
So basically it says the legislative committee asked the Solano County Democratic Central Committee to endorse the current Vallejo ordinance and any other similar ordinances that may occur in other Solano cities and unincorporated Solano
Exactly.
County
I
in the
don't like
future.
that part, Bonnie, because it's
I hear you. I don't agree with you in that I think that this is an issue that for me is kind of like I don't see the opposition to this issue. I mean, what is your opposition to? I get that you would rather have it go through each city one by one and the unincorporated area of the county, but is there a reason that you would be in objection to having it in any of those cities?
It depends upon how it's written. Because we did something similar to this, similar with this in Benicia that had to do with if you were a multiplex or greater. And so all I'm saying is that there might be different things happening, and I'm not comfortable saying that something that it might in 5 or 6 years happen, we are agreeing right now in 2024. I just don't understand why it has to be that portion. I don't understand why we can't look at this as it goes item by item. So if it's not going to change, fine, I have to vote against it, even though I'm in favor of what's happening in Vallejo.
I hear you, Monica. And again, I think that, I mean, I don't know procedurally what you would suggest. Are you suggesting an amendment to our recommendation?
All we have to do is just take out that it goes to anybody else. So it just ends at the meeting at Vallejo City Council, and we then don't go any farther when you write the last part about, I'm guessing here, where it ends up with the Solano County.
I
So
think
you're asking for an amendment.
Yeah, I think the committee's report was as stated. So if someone wishes to make a motion to amend to endorse the current Vallejo ordinance only, I would ask for a motion and a second to do that amendment.
So I would move that amendment.
Okay, is
Chair.
there a second to Monica's amendment?
I second it. It's Michelle.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to the amendment.
So as the maker, thank you, Don, for having the right words. I don't think you guys truly understand that you're putting me, I'm being selfish right now. You're putting me in a bind because you're saying anything coming further, and there's several people here who are on city councils in other jurisdictions, and I don't understand why we just can't do it as they come forward. So that is my objection.
All right, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the amendment? Please raise your hand. Okay, Kathy?
I just want to clarify it. Monica, is the amendment for both other cities and the unincorporated areas of Solano County in the future?
Yes, I think we need to look at them as they come forward. It's not going to take very long. I just don't like giving something carte blanche, which means I know in the county we can't do this because now you're putting the next group. Say nothing happens in the next 5 years, maybe half of us aren't here. Now you've held hostage to people coming forward. That's all. I know it sounds trite, but I'm just not comfortable.
And, you know, Monica, I have no objection, you know, it's just what we had discussed. This is what we came up with. We thought that it was a great idea to have this throughout the county. You're right. I don't know how quickly it would move. I have no objection to amending it. I just want to move to have us endorse the Vallejo ordinance. That's really the prime issue here. So can we just move on? I mean, if we can take it to a vote, that'd be great, unless other people have a comment.
So are you withdrawing the committee's recommendation in favor of the substitute, Bonnie?
That's fine. I'm happy to do that if there's no objection to that.
If I may, through the chair,
Yes.
Councilmember Ariola. The last city council meeting where we addressed this agenda item, we had a large contingent of the tobacco retailers come to our meeting and to address their concerns and not really understanding, this is, I'm quoting, not understanding the ramifications of the licensing and all of that. So I think this has been tabled. You can certainly bring this to council as an endorsement for the committee to you know, put a halt to these tobacco sales of flavored and vaping and all of that. But I think where our city attorney is still looking into modifying the ordinance.
All right, thank you. Unless anyone raises their hand to object to moving the amended ordinance or the report as amended, I think we'll dispense with voting on the amendments and move to approve the committee's report as amended, which would be simply to endorse the current Vallejo ordinance. So I'm not seeing any hands raised to object. So if we have that poll ready, Tom, or if we can have that poll ready.
Yep, it's ready.
All right, let's launch that, please.
The poll has been launched. For those of you voting, please vote.
And again, I would encourage everyone to look at that ABC's document just to see what this ordinance what this type of ordinance would accomplish and how important it is as far as proximity to youth, pricing, flavors. I mean, different things that are.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Useful.
And I want to add that it is a revenue neutral ordinance. There's no cost to the taxpayers. And the same thing is true in Benicia.
All right, thank you.
Okay, gonna end the poll now. It has been minute 30. So the motion passes with 17 votes yay, 1 vote nay, and 6 votes abstain.
Okay.
Thank you very much to the
So
committee.
Don,
It's passed.
okay.
We're good. All right. I'm going to take up the next item out of order because I foolishly thought we would get through our committee reports faster than we have. So I'm going to take us directly to the discussion of the National Convention and related items and invite Jeff Cortson to take the floor. He's been very patient with us.
Do you mind if I take 1 minute to do my Region 3 report?
Feel free. Might as well knock it out at once.
So the primary thing that I wanted to mention first is that August 1st, for those of you that have clubs for the Central Committee, the insurance is coming up. So please remember, you have events, the insurance for CADM. You just have to apply to get the coverage, because a lot of places require that you have $1 million worth of coverage. So you get it through CADM, very easy. I'll have instructions sent out through the newsletter as soon as that information is available. Second thing, unfortunately, with regard to Solano and also Sonoma, your bylaws were submitted to the bylaws committee for an update. However, the rules committee for CADM did not meet because they shortened the e-board. So the last word that I received from the rules committee was that any committee that did not get passed at the previous e-board cannot endorse in the name of CADM. Sorry, Don, I just found this out this morning, and Paula was just asking me about it. So sorry about the bad news there. Anybody has any questions, please follow up with me later. Happy to stay on after. But now, the question that came up, we obviously with as Don said, that the president is retiring. He did not resign. He is retiring. He decided not to continue running for the endorsement. It's important to understand that President Biden did not have the endorsement yet, even though across the states we all voted, and what typically happens at that point, the way that the DNC rules work is that it's kind of like the Electoral College, in that when you are voting for a candidate at the primary, you're actually voting for a delegate. That delegate is then pledged to your candidate when they go to the convention that follows. The convention has not happened yet. It's going to be on August 19th, I believe somewhere thereabouts, August 19th. And at that point, that's when the official, however, there's more rules that have happened. That's when typically we would go into convention, and then convention would be when the votes are taken and the candidate would be determined, even if it's predetermined because a certain person has enough candidates, delegates that are pledged to them through the primary voting. Okay, Biden had all of those, and there's also questions about whether or not there's something called pledge delegates, and then there are automatic delegates. Pledge delegates get to vote in the first round. If the first round does not end in a candidate or a nominee, then automatic delegates, all pledge delegates actually no longer are bound to their candidate anymore after the first round, and automatic delegates, formerly called superdelegates, get to participate. Because of the complaints about the superdelegates, they decided, obviously renaming them is important, but then also to keep them out of the first round, so they are not putting their thumb on the election, and it's the people that were elected as the pledge delegates. They get the first say. Those are the ones that we voted for in the primary. So what happens there? Actually, it's not really you're voting for them, you're voting for a number, and then the Democratic Party then votes for people to fill those slots, the number of slots that are available for that space. So that's how we get to the point where we are. We had pledged delegates that were pledged to Biden. When Biden steps down, that means that those pledged delegates are no longer pledged to Biden. What we saw is that a number of delegates and other people, a lot of the people that you heard, keep in mind, a lot of those people that you heard from, Nancy Pelosi, a lot of governors, senators, those are, a lot of them are automatic delegates. So they are not necessarily, depending on who they are, they may or may not even be a delegate at all. But a lot of them don't have a say at the convention. But the campaign and a number of others went out and started calling people and asking for them to pledge their vote, even though it's not required that they maintain that vote. They called and asked for the candidate or for the delegates to pledge their vote so that at when the vote is taken, it's important that I say when the vote is taken, because that's an important thing that's coming up too. When the vote is taken, that they are pledging that they will vote for Kamala Harris. And according to the campaign and to the AP, which also independently tracked a number of delegates, the Harris campaign says that they have more than 50% of the delegates. Important to understand that this pledge is different than the pledge of a pledged delegate. All they're saying is, I intend to vote for Kamala Harris. That is not a bound delegate. A bound delegate is one that is determined after the primary. So even though people have said they are planning on voting for Kamala, that doesn't mean that they have to. So clearly the campaign is going to want to see more than 50%. Now, all that means is that Kamala is presumed to be the nominee, but she is not the nominee. She's also not the term that we used for the president, because he was the presumptive nominee simply because he had bound delegates. Kamala has pledged delegates who have pledged their vote, and then it will be determined at the time. Thank you, Brigitte. That was, I'm going to actually be talking about that in a moment. Brigitte in chat posted the rules and the timeline that was passed today by the Rules Committee. So now, that's where things really also start getting really wonky. And people have claimed that there is a rush to anoint Kamala Harris as the nominee. So it actually is the same, it's mostly the same process that we've gone through, except in that if we didn't have a candidate going into convention who already had a majority, so let's say that there was a number of people that throughout the entire time frame got different votes and we went in without a majority, we would have an open convention where no one person has a majority. So when the president stepped down and said he was not going to run, that left us with an open convention, or potentially open convention. So the other part where we're getting some criticism is that the DNC had planned on having a virtual vote in advance of convention in order to lock in the nomination. They are doing that because Ohio has a rule that you have to have the name of the nominee submitted to their Secretary of State by August 7th. So they passed this rule. Our convention is after August 7th. Normally, under the normal process, when we vote at convention, then we're not going to have a nominee until after August 7th. Now, you may have heard that Ohio changed they passed a law saying, oh, okay, Democratic Party, will go ahead and accept your nomination or your nominee at your convention. However, the DNC does not trust the Republicans that are running the legislatures there in Ohio to stick with their word. And if we miss that August 7th deadline, they could potentially even pass another law that says, no, we rescind what we said before. You don't have a nominee, and you Democrats are not going to have a nominee on the ballot. So they decided we're going to go ahead and move forward with a virtual vote. Then when Biden stepped down, that threw that question into question, what's going on? How are we going to do a virtual vote? How are we going to need to bring it to convention? Are we going to do a virtual vote in advance? So they've been, it's a lot of stuff that's going on. It's been moving very quickly, obviously. So trying to think of where I am in the process here. So originally the vote was potentially, I believe, a week, supposed to get kicked off earlier than what they planned. The Rules Committee, because of the DNC, met today. They then determined a process that is going to govern going forward. Now, people have been saying that it's not fair that there isn't a chance for somebody else to get a nomination in. Now, most of the people that were considering it have endorsed Kamala, so, they aren't going to be potential candidates. There is a process. It has always been the same process that a person who wants to submit their name for nomination has to submit 300 signatures of delegates, of which no more than 50 can be from a single state. So that means that you have to have at least 6 different states, 50 signatures from 6 different states submitted to to submit your name into nomination for the convention. That's been the rule. It's been that way for a while. During COVID, they came up with a different process that they allowed individuals to send in a nomination paper, which is then their signature, and that signature then applies to the candidate that they wish to support. That process is still going to happen. So any candidate, including Kamala Harris, she has to meet the rules just like anybody else. So any candidate still has to submit at least 300 signatures in order to be submitted in for nomination. Now, these signatures are not votes. That is just the signature to become eligible to be on the nomination vote. So the rules that went out today that Monica posted in the chat is that the candidates have until this Saturday at 6 p.m. to submit or declare their candidacy. So if at 6 p.m. on Saturday, more than one person, because of course, Kamala Harris, they're expecting to submit her candidacy, and we know that that's going to happen. But if anybody else submits their candidacy, then that throws the convention into a contested convention in which it changes the timeline. So July 30th, if more than one person submits, then they have up to the 30th to submit the 300 signatures. So they confirm that they're eligible, etc. So they have until the 30th to do that. They're going to any candidate would get a list of all of the delegates. They can contact all of the delegates directly, asking for them to turn in a nomination form and put their name into nomination. So anybody, really anybody in the country can do that if they're a Democrat and meet the other requirements. August 1st, if there's only one candidate, then August 1st, they're going to start the virtual vote. of all the delegates in that are going to convention. That virtual vote is simply a voting similar to, you've done electronic voting before. I'm actually going to ask Sandra in a few moments to explain what that voting looks like, because according to all of the things that they said today, it's going to be exactly the same process that they did in 2020. So basically exactly the same form, same kind of process. So they'll fill out their vote, submit that, and then that vote, the tally of the votes before August 7th, is to determine who the nominee will be, so that they can submit that name to Ohio and meet their requirements. If there's more than one candidate, then the party, the DNC chair and the convention chairs are going to determine a date in which the voting will begin. And all the delegates will get that information because by the 27th at 6 p.m., we'll know if there's more than one candidate that has declared their intention to seek the nomination. So if there's more than one, it will change some of these numbers. I'm being very careful here because it is a democratic process. Kamala has received a lot of support going after the president decided not to run. But as I said earlier, she is not the nominee. That is determined through our democratic process in which the delegates are going to vote. The delegates would always be determining who our nominee is anyway. If Biden had stayed in, then he would not be the nominee until this vote is concluded anyway. So the delegates, it's the same process. The delegates are determining who the nominee will be. I hope that I've covered a lot of this. I know that there's going to be questions. So Kathy, before we get to this, I do want to ask Sandra if she can explain how the voting actually occurs. Sandra, are you available?
Yeah, of course. I want to clarify a couple things. First of all, there will be a vote starting tomorrow of this pledging that Jeff referred to. We are being asked by the party. We had a meeting on Monday where there was a vote to overwhelmingly, unanimously support the vice president. Then she submitted her intent to run. They're getting the 300 signatures and they're asking for all of us to, we will be sent something tomorrow, 9 a.m. Virtually to do this. This is part of the signatures. Obviously, there'll be more than 50 coming out of California, but they're just making sure that is done.
And to clarify too, what I mentioned that on the voting under the DNC rules, the automatic delegates do not vote in the first round.
However, because I'm an automatic delegate,
right.
I'm a DNC member, so I'm an at-large DNC member. So I don't count on the first vote for the actual endorsement, but I am able to vote as a delegate because I am a delegate for
your support, yes.
To pledge my support for her to get the 300 signatures. So that will happen. Thank you for clarifying. And then the vote that it will be a virtual vote and collected very similarly to what I just described here. And then if there's any need to go to a second round with the automatic delegates, they will. But in addition to that, and that'll go, I think they're going to give us over a series of days to complete that. I was also on a call with NEA today because I'm a NEA member. Of course, some of you know I worked for CTA for many years and I'm actual former classroom teacher. So they also went through the process because there are 170 NEA delegates that will be there. And so we'll go over a number of days to do the final. And then at the convention, because everybody so enjoys the point where people say the great state of California pledges its 475 delegates for the next president, our native daughter, Kamala Harris. So there will be that. That will happen at the convention. It will be ceremonial because we'll all know what the total is already, but there still will be that. So we're going to have a lot of opportunities to vote over the next week or so. So you'll still see the beauty of the ceremonial roll call, but all of the rest of it will be done electronically. And I will add that there is some rumor, or I've seen that Marianne Williamson will try to be nominated. Whether or not she can collect the signatures, I kind of doubt it, but as Jeff said, it is an open process, and she's the only one I've heard that might avail themselves of the process.
I've heard of that as well. Now, before we move on to asking questions, Dawn wanted to step in quickly.
Yeah. I want to allow for the opportunity, if multiple people have questions or comments they want to make, to allow that space. So I'm going to ask that if you have a question, of Jeff or Sandra, get to the question. Don't give a 2-minute preface to your question. So ask your question, and then if you have a one follow-up, and then we'll move on to the next person, and then allow each person who has a question to ask it before we circle back around. And then once any questions are done, if people have comments, as I said in the email, 3 minutes per comment, and then by the same token, we're going to move on to the next people until everyone who wishes to speak does, before we take second speakers. So just kind of respect that. And with that, go ahead and back to the first person, Jeff.
Sounds good. Kathy, your hand was up first, and then it looks like it got dropped. So I'll go ahead and call on you first.
Thanks. I just had a question. You said there are a couple of deadlines coming up. I thought I understood that one deadline was Saturday, but then you can have people can still submit their candidacy until the 30th. I'm a little confused.
So the candidates can declare their candidacy by 6 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay.
But then they have until the 30th to meet the qualifications, which is the signatures plus, the other forms and other information. So, yeah, so the first deadline is, but keep in mind, it's a deadline. That doesn't mean everybody has to wait until that time. So 27th is the first deadline, and then July 30th is when, so if, let's say, Marianne just says that, yes, I'm going to try and seek the nomination, then, and she does that before the 27th, the process is that they have to fill out a form and submit it to the secretary of the DNC, or the convention secretary, sorry. So the convention secretary. And then they'll get more information about how to finish your qualifications and then submit that. And then that would be done by July 30th. If by the 27th, no one else declares, because they can't fill out the 300 and submit it if they haven't declared first. So that's the first part. So if by the 27th, no one else actually declares, then basically we start moving forward with an August 1st vote, likely to be a single round, and things would be moved much quicker. But we are the Democratic Party. We have to have the opportunity for other people to participate. And it's, some people I've talked to feel very uncomfortable how quickly this is moved. I do think that it is important for us to coalesce around a single candidate sooner than later. but I also believe that it's necessary for us to have a fair process. And that, I believe, is what the Rules Committee was trying to establish with this process. It does seem like it's accelerated, but people that have been thinking should already have known that, you know, if Biden decided to step down, they were interested. So it's not like this is a sudden. Yeah.
We have to have a candidate.
Right.
The candidate that we had has decided not to run. We have to have a candidate. We've got to do it before Ohio, you know, chucks us to the wind. And so, I mean, this is what it is. I mean, it has to be what it has to be. And, you know, certainly other people could have, you know, started to express an interest and started to wage a bit of a campaign. But I think we saw very clearly that as soon as the president made his remarks, everybody coalesced around the vice president, and you know, like it or not, there we are. And by the way, I like it a lot.
I do want to point out that, you know, we have to thank the president for letting us know at this time. I mean, he could have decided in September that, you know, maybe this isn't the right path. If he withdrew after seeking the nomination, first of all, we wouldn't be able to get the name on the ballot. That's first of all. The nominee would actually, there's another entire process that is a, you know, because there's also the potential that a candidate could pass away before reaching, you know, the ballot. So there has to be a way for a nomination to occur. That would have just thrown everything into chaos. And he knew that the time was right. He had to do it soon in order for us to be able to have a democratic process that was not, you know, yes, he was going to nominate or he was going to endorse Kamala, his vice president, but I think that he knew that this was necessary as far as the timing goes. And I think that he did the right thing at the right time for us to be able to go through sorry, I almost dropped some water on the ground, for us to have a democratic process. So, Bonnie.
Yeah, I like it too, Sandra. And all I can say is Kamala. But if Marianne, so I understand the process up to July 30th. If Marianne does submit, can you go over that part again? What will happen, and will we meet Ohio's deadline? And that's my question. But I do have a request, which is, will someone keep us in the loop along the way? That's what the other request.
Yes.
Like communicating to us what is going on. I think the best
communicator is our newly elected DNC member, Mr. Park.
Yeah.
We've all
well, he has to communicate to us. Yeah.
To us, yes. And so he'll I think all of us have decided that we're going to tag him with being, you know, there's no sense 20 people sending the same memo that we all got, but Jason is like on it. And so, I think Jeff is probably on his list. And if not, I'm sure Jason, you'll add him and he can send to all of the region. But the timeline will be the same. So right now, Kamala Harris has to make the same timeline as Marianne Williamson. They both have to make the same timeline. They both have to say they're interested. They both have to put their 300 delegates forward from 6 different states. And if they both make it, then there will still be the virtual vote at the same time. And Kamala Harris will get it and Marianne Williamson will lose, and then we'll move forward. But it won't upset the timeline. It's contained in the same time.
How many delegates total are there, Sandra? 4,500?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a very large number. And so you know, for a person to file last minute and try and get a majority. It only requires a majority of the delegates, a simple majority. So
it's democratic.
Yeah, exactly. Does that answer your question, Bonnie?
Yes, it does. And I'm assuming that the number then of delegates they need are 2,000 something or other, half of the 4,000 something.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, keep in mind that
half plus one.
Well, it's not actually that, simply because you have the automatic delegates, and so the automatic delegates do not participate in the first round.
Yes.
So
In other words, of the pledged delegates, if the majority of the pledged delegates vote for Kamala Harris, it's over. If the majority, if she fails to get the majority, it will go to the next round, which will be the unpledged delegates like myself, and then she will win on that. But it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm the majority of the automatics that I've seen have all pledged for Kamala. So
she's got like 5 or 6 states automatically. I mean, the numbers are.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
Yeah.
Monica.
So how does the VP, won't the VP have to also be with Kamala for Ohio? And is that going to be after win and all that good fun stuff?
Technically, the nominee, once they are the nominee, will announce their choice for running mate. And it does not have to be, I think there's something that'll happen at the convention. It's usually like a voice vote or something like that. But, you know, it's you know, perfunctory. But as soon as this process runs out very quickly, then she will announce her running mate. And
yeah, the rules that were put forward today say once a presidential nominee is selected, the nominee may place a vice presidential candidate into nomination. The convention chair may then declare the candidate to be the vice presidential nominee of the Democratic Party. So there isn't an official vote there. It says that the chair is declaring that person to be the nominee. And so that name will then be included in the submission to Ohio. But then, as Sandra mentioned, that at Chicago, they call it a celebratory and ceremonial vote to recognize and affirm the presidential and vice presidential nominees, including state by state roll call. And of course, since Kamala is from California, our state is lucky enough to place her name into nomination.
I don't know, or sometimes they allow you to be last or be the one that puts it over.
Yeah.
And I hope it just means that we'll have better seats than last time.
Let's hope so. Although I'm not going to be there, but I wish I was this time.
Last time it was like I was in the nosebleeds.
And they're like, oh, California.
With Oklahoma.
Let's see. So I just want to check and make sure. So Monica, did that answer your question?
Oh, definitely, not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it looks like the names keep dropping. So Michelle, your hand was up and then it kept dropping out.
Well, I'll ask the question. It's just actually reiterating. I just want to be very clear, especially about what Sandra said, that even if there are 2 people in whatever you call it, this vote will be done by August 1st. Is that right?
Absolutely.
No, not by August 1st. August 1st is the first date that they
can first date you can vote.
Start.
Yeah.
What? Say that again?
It'll be done before the deadline of August 7th to send it to Ohio.
Right.
Because they give you a few days to vote, yes. But it won't extend it by having another candidate.
Does the voting begin August 1st, you guys?
Somewhere, it'll be around that, I think.
Okay.
It's if there's a single candidate, it will start August 1st, and basically they'll wrap it up by the 2nd or so.
Yeah.
If there is more than one candidate, it says that they will declare what the timeline is going to be, when that is. But right, I don't think that it's going to. It's going to be. I don't think it's going to extend it at all. And the other part is that they have to have provisions in there if there has to be a second round. Now, their rules do allow for it, but that also means that that second round has to happen very quickly. So that means that all the delegates have to be paying attention to their email, watching, seeing what that process is. I'm not a delegate, so I'm not going to see those emails. So I'm going to be relying on other people to tell me as well.
Jason's going to take care of it.
Excellent. All right. So, and we'll make sure that everybody has
He's
that.
the communications chair for the delegation. He doesn't know.
There you go. There you go. So, and if you don't know, if you could also pin Jason quickly, Jason Park, DNC member elect. So, Jason, you also got a seat as a delegate as well. Is that right?
Yes. He won't actually, well, you can explain it, Jason, but the current delegation is the ones that will vote. And then there's the new members take over on the Friday following the convention. So anyway, Jason.
So that's why I said that you also get, because I knew that he, as a member elect, does not automatically get a delegate seat to this election. He would had to have been elected as a pledge delegate for this round in order to go to convention as a pledge delegate, or to participate as a delegate. So that was my question.
Yeah, I mean, you both are correct. I foresaw that this would happen, and so I actually ran to be a district level pledge delegate. And so, yes, I'm receiving all the communication.
Excellent. Excellent.
So perfect. You've got it all covered.
So, so for those of you that didn't understand the details of that, a DNC member is basically like the executive board of the California Democratic Party. They are elected for a 4-year term, and there's 20 something in I think it's 20 in 20 elected members in California, and both Sandra and Jason were elected at e-board in May. But the way that it works is we elect in May, but they don't actually take office for the term that we just elected them to until after the current convention. So they are actually taking office. The convention's going to happen, and then they take office right before the election. So they're responsible for the next presidential election that's coming up. But because they take office afterwards and are automatic for the next convention, which would be 2028, Jason would have to have run as a district level delegate, which is a pledge delegate, in order to go to this convention, which is, it sounds like he said he did. So,
well, no, you still get to go. If you're elected, you still go. You are seated, you are fully credentialed, but you don't vote. If you don't vote. But since he is a pledge delegate, he gets to vote as well. But
run for DNC then. So
yeah, but they do the new people that were elected, Harini, I'm forgetting who else from Los Angeles, Annalisa, Jason, they're all there for the whole thing.
So these two now, Jason, what you are in Los Angeles, or where are you located? You're just everywhere all the time, so it makes me wonder where you're actually from.
I appreciate both your kind words. I reside in the 16th congressional district, so Anna Eshu's district in the Bay Area.
Okay, so you are in the Bay Area here. Okay, so, and the reason that I'm saying that, folks, is because these two are 2 of 20 that will represent you at the convention and for the next 4 years going further. They're the ones that also get to vote on a number of different things that happen over the next 4 years. So it's important to know who they are. That's a little bit different topic than what's coming up. So, but they will be getting all the information. They're going to be voting. And you did say that the delegation voted, from what I heard, unanimously. I think that there were a number of people who had concerns about the process, but the delegation voted unanimously to pledge their votes for Kamala. That is correct?
Yes, but we have to actually put that in writing starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. And there really are turning out the vote. I actually got an actual phone call about it, and then an email. So they're making sure that we do it. So it will happen.
Okay.
I have,
And I was going to say
California's
also,
not going to let down Kamala Harris. Ain't going to happen.
so Don, your chair, is also a delegate. And I think that are there any other delegates on the call, Don?
I don't, let me see if they're currently on, but I don't know
We
that.
have Jack Flynn, right?
But Jack Flynn and Lynette Henley are also elected delegates.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Okay. So you are fairly well represented here. That's excellent. I believe district level delegates. So you're representing at the congressional district level. So those are the people that if you have questions of what is going on, they are the ones who are actually in the thick of it for the next week and a half before they actually have to go to convention. So yeah, Don.
I want to thank you all for presenting. I sent out to the membership the official notice of the nomination process that I received from the Secretary of the Convention at 8:22 this evening. So it's literally just now being made official, even though anyone reading the paper has known the broad outlines of how this is going to play out over the last 48 hours or so. But they just have made it official. So, and I've already received, as Sandra has said, multiple texts, phone calls, emails, asking for me to submit my name as one of the nominating signatures. I figure if I wait long enough, Rusty will show up at my door with a piece of paper.
Well, they only need 50 from each state. So, and how many? We have a couple hundred in California. So, yeah, not everybody is going to. I mean, of course, they only need 50. That if she submits, 3,000, then so be it. So,
not going to be a problem.
Yeah. Now as somebody who wants to make sure that processes are fair, is there anybody that has a question or concern about the process being fair? And, that even though I've described a process that allows others to participate, that somebody might think that it is too rushed and that it's not fair to others like Marianne or another candidate who might be waiting.
Well, Marianne was on the ballot. Marianne got no delegates, at least in California. I don't know how she did in other states. She had her chance, I think. I think the only people that are calling this into question are the Republican Party, who are really trying very hard to make, as they did with on January 6th, trying to delegitimize. It's an internal process. It's the Democratic Party. I mean, how Republicans are chosen to be delegates in California. I've been to the Republican convention. I used to handle it for CTA. They don't even elect. You know how you have to run for ADEM and all of that craziness that goes on? They just choose. They just go like, okay, you two, you're in. Okay, you guys, all right, you come. There's no ADEM. I mean, they have to elect in the Central Committee because that's part of the election code of California, but their delegates are just chosen. So we're running an internal process and with our candidate that dropped out. I mean, but they are trying to do it. And so I would encourage everybody to make sure that people know that this is a fair process governed by the Rules Committee of the Democratic National Committee, that the people that serve on that committee are elected and then selected by the chair to serve on those committees, as we do with our executive board, and that we are following every single timeline and giving everyone the chance that they deserve.
And the most important part of that process that I described is, remember, the new rules for this year say that the automatic delegates do not get to vote in the first round. Okay, you hear these headlines that say that the elites, the people who backroom deals, that they're the ones that are selecting the candidate. It's actually the people of this the country that were elected to represent us at convention. Those are the people that get to vote and are going to make the decision on the nominee. It's not the automatic delegates, all the people that were in the paper with these endorsements. It's the people. And that's what people need to understand.
Thank you, Jeff and Sandra and Jason. I do want to put a time because it is after 9.
Yep,
absolutely.
And also I want to allow our members, and now that they've had a chance to ask questions, if they have comments they wish to make about the process, any of their thoughts about what's happened over the last week. If they want to discuss this further, as I said, 3 minutes per person. So
I put something in the chat that I just love Joe Biden, and I grieve heavily for what's happened, but I love Kamala Harris, and we need unity. And this really energizes the election like unexpectedly. And it's really it's wonderful that she is going to give our country this opportunity. So that's what I want to share.
thank you. And again, just raise your hand for the appropriate. Michelle. Okay.
Thanks, Don. So my question is a little bit different, which is the Democratic Party has had a lot of problems with messaging, unifying message. For those of you who are in the DNC, do you know if this has been addressed at all to try to come up with something that all of the candidates can reiterate so that we come across as very united?
I think regarding the process, I think without much encouragement from anyone, I think we just need to stand by the process that we have. It was fully transparent. Absolutely. Everyone had a chance. We're meeting election codes and so forth. And as far as the nominee is concerned, if you've heard her first 3 speeches, it's really very simple. We don't want to go backward. We have a choice of going backward, getting rid of our rights, eroding our freedoms, or we can go forward to make sure that everybody has a right to succeed in this country and achieve greatness.
Right. Sandra, no, I understand that. I guess I'm asking specifically for those of you who are DNC members, if on that level, we are addressing our issue with messaging. I think we all understand what Kamala is saying, but
okay.
Yeah, thank you though for that. That's my question.
Yeah.
In other words, do we have like a messaging committee? Do we have a centralizing this kind of thing?
There are, but right now I think everybody is just trying to get this process done. But there are people working on that for sure.
Kay Patrice, you're next.
Thank you so much. So my question, by the way, this is to me kind of complicated, and maybe it's just me, but you all did just a beautiful job along with that supplemental information from you, Chair Don, sorry, and my countdown is on. So my question is, my question is that I'm hearing that the Republicans are have put a lawsuit so that so that no one else can access those funds except for President Joe Biden. Could you deny or say that's correct?
They're trying everything. They're throwing the kitchen sink, spaghetti against the wall. They want to erode the process. They want to hang up the money. They're gonna try everything. But I never had any doubt that the money could transfer over. I mean, I'm in the political business for a living. I've seen there are people who file for one thing, move their money into another thing all the time. It's what it is. They will not be successful.
Even if it's embargoed briefly, she just raised 100 million, doubled it right off the gates. Yeah. So I don't think that there's going to be a problem at all. All the things that I've read from the lawyers have said that, you know, they have filed these types of lawsuits in the past over different races. Just so happens this one's the presidency, and they've lost every single time. So it is. The only concern is if they somehow get it to somebody in Texas that then it goes, you know, an appeals court in Texas and it goes to the Supreme Court, then all bets are off. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it going that far. And I also, even if it goes to the Supreme Court, John Roberts would, I don't think that he would be that interested in jumping in this quickly. And their term doesn't start until October. So, I mean, they can hear things on emergency basis, but they would have to really show their political stripes to do that.
All right. Does anyone have any further questions or comments on this particular subject? Because if not, I do want to allow our guests to go and take a well-deserved break and do get on with their lives while we finish up the last few items of business. So thank you all for coming and giving so much of your time this evening.
Thanks for having us. You know, I'm in your neighboring county. I'm in Sonoma County, so North Bay is my home anytime. Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks all. All right. Jumping back to the regular order of the calendar was to set the dates for our endorsement meetings. As you know, we have a number of local races coming up, and in past years, we have typically tried to schedule our endorsement process to begin the first Saturday after the close of the filing period, which would be the 17th of August. However, with the convention happening when it is, and in fact, I'm flying out on the 17th, I'm flying back on the 24th. Want to adjust our schedule for the endorsement. So what we have proposed, and we've mentioned these dates at a previous meeting, but want to get official approval of, is setting 2 dates for the candidates. The first being August 28th, our regular Central Committee meeting that we would devote the bulk of our meeting that evening to starting the process for interviews, and those candidates that appear that night, we would vote that night. And then the next would be September 7th, which is a Saturday. We did not discuss doing it August 31st because that is Labor Day weekend, and many people are typically traveling, trying to get in their last vacation for the fall. So those are the proposed dates. Any comments, feedback, or a motion to adopt? Monica.
I move that we approve the 2 dates that you just stated, Dawn, for the interviews.
Don, I couldn't find my hand here, but I think the date was the September 14th as opposed to the 7th.
No, not for the endorsements. Our endorsements candidate endorsements must be done by September 9th. by our bylaws.
Was it? Is that what it was? Okay. Oh, this is another one. Okay, I'm confusing the two dates for endorsement and for the fundraising. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, Patrice?
Yes, could you repeat those dates again? I didn't have a pen in front of me.
Okay, yeah, they are put on the agenda, but they are August 28th, which is our regular meeting night, the fourth Wednesday. And then Saturday, September 7th.
Okay. So, so my feedback is that, you know, we for the candidates that we endorse, we want it to matter, right? You to give them enough time to put it on you know, to post it, to put it on literature, whatever they're going to do. So to me, we need to get the date as soon as possible. But let me ask you this. You know, as chair, you have you know, you have a whole e-board. Do you have to run the meeting, or can it be one of your leadership team?
It could be one of the leadership team. However, to be quite selfish, I would prefer to be able to participate in our endorsement process.
I get it, but you're already doing something really important.
And I take your acknowledgement. I would say that voting on our local endorsements are as important, but we'll take that. And if there's a motion to amend the dates and put that forward, we can certainly, if the body chooses to endorse on either of those dates, we can entertain that motion.
And we already had a second, right, for the main motion, correct?
No, I don't think there has been a
We
second.
did not hear a motion because we went from, did not hear a second. We went from the motion to.
This is Carrie Birdseye. I'll move as a second with recognition that there are two hands up.
Okay. All right, so we have the motion, we have the second, and then the hand I see up is Jeff's.
So I just want to speak in favor of allowing your members to participate. The fact that somebody has chosen to represent people at the National Convention should not be a detriment to the endorsement process. And it's not just the chair. You have two other members of the committee that I believe should have the right to participate if they so choose. It is something that we've discussed in some of the other committees. Most of the committees are choosing to have their meetings after the conclusion of the convention. Part of that is also because there are people who want to watch the convention. And watching the evening portions of the convention is going to conflict with a lot of people that if you have to have a meeting in that during that time frame. So I ask you just to be fair to your process and to the people who want to watch the convention and participate in this historic moment. So thank you.
I will just say before I take Michelle, is that an alternative would be for us to schedule several evening sessions during the week of, I guess that would be the 26th through the 29th or 30th. Although in our discussions at the e-board level, we assumed that people did not want to be meeting night after night after night, but if the body so chooses, we can. Michelle.
Yeah, so the other thing is that the endorsement questionnaires haven't gone out yet, and the candidates are going to need time to fill those out. So I don't see how we could rush it much more than the dates that have already been selected.
Well, by our process, the questionnaires are posted on our website, but they're not specifically sent out till after the close of filing. So, that will happen then, and traditionally that has led to, as many of our candidates will acknowledge, a very rushed process on their behalf of completing it and getting it back to us if they choose to file late in the process. Not seeing other hands. Monica?
call for the question?
Okay, well, I think it's, you're the last one, so, all those in favor of the dates of August 28th and or September 7th, please vote on the poll. Thank you.
And just a quick point of information, and these will be virtual meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Christina. Your hand's up.
Is the online application for endorsements, are they, if you fill them out online, will they automatically, in other words, online applications in a PDF form or a form that can be filled out and then click and then send, or does a candidate have to print the form and mail it in? I find that these online forms are not friendly to fill out. As a city council person, a lot of times we get these PDF forms, oh, just click in the boxes and this, and it doesn't send. So how friendly
Our
is the form?
endorsement forms are entirely online. So you will fill them out and you will submit them electronically.
Okay.
Yeah, they're using Google Forms. So if you have any issues, Christina, you can reach out to me and I can help you.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, we went over with the poll, but the motion passes.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Next item we have is a letter of appreciation to President Biden. Sent out that letter to people with the agenda over the weekend. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. If anyone has any changes they wish to make, let us know. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion to approve the letter.
I move that we approve the letter and send it as soon as we can.
This is Paula. I'll second. It was a lovely letter you wrote, by the way, Don.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I should have said that too. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Don.
All right.
You got me, Paula.
Unless there's any discussion, we have a motion, a second to relaunch that poll.
Can I ask a quick question? Going back to putting the information of the contact person can help us if we have any problems with the candidate requests for nomination.
It'll be sent out in the email that you get as a candidate.
Thank you.
And per our, actually, and also we'll include that on our website and the contact point.
And you'll also have the endorsement chair's information as well.
Thank you for your assistance.
Right. So again, vote early, vote often.
There's only.
I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to make a suggestion that instead of making oral announcements at the end of this meeting, that we send everything to Tom or Kathy, or you can even send it to me, and we send them out as an email tomorrow since it's already 9:30.
I won't dispute that. I'm very glad I had the opportunity to have supper before the meeting started.
Motion passes unanimously for the letter of appreciation to President Biden.
Thank you. And then the final item I had was scheduling of debate nights. And this is simply in the event that there are future debates. Monica volunteered to book us the same location, the Denny's in Cordelia, for future events, and to cover the cost of food and whatnot, and give the in-kind contribution information to our treasurer. So wanted to get everyone's feedback and buy-in on that. So when and if they happen, we could go ahead and book that.
Through the chair, I'm also thinking if there might be a VP, so any kind of debate, if that's okay with everybody.
Would you be okay with the motion saying if there are future debate nights for the presidential or vice presidential or election or just federal? I don't know. Which would it be?
I think presidential and vice presidential debates are fine.
Are you calling for a motion, Chair?
Yeah, I was asking, yes, let's get a motion unless there's consensus. So
Please.
who was that?
Carrie Birdseye.
All right. Is there a second?
Second,
Who was that?
Ariola.
Okay. And I saw a hand up, but
Yeah, I had a hand up. Yes.
Karen?
Yes, I just wanted to confirm and to thank Monica for her in-kind donations. I mean, it's really helped the committee. So thank you, Monica.
As long as I have this job, I can afford it. So just think about it in 28.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll be celebrating a re-election bid in 2028.
So launching the poll.
Right. And per the suggestion, if you have an urgent item to announce, drop it in chat. Otherwise, just simply send it to our secretary or one of the other e-board members, and we'll get it out tomorrow while we're doing that. And I want to thank everyone for their feedback on all the items tonight, and again, our guest speakers to go over the whole process with the convention and what's happening both procedurally and then politically. Might have been entertaining to have a repeat of 1968, but I think our electoral processes and chances are improved by it being a nice, orderly selection of a new candidate.
Don, while you're waiting for the poll to be completed, one of the things we didn't mention is that the platform is not voted on in advance and will be voted on at convention. So that is an important vote that the delegates will be taking at convention.
Yeah, I think I've seen news reports that the draft has already sort of been released and is circulating out there in the universe. So I'm sure it can be Googled.
So the vote is passed with 1 nay, 1 abstain, and 19 yays. So we'll have a good time watching our gal take him down.
Yay.
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 I can't wait. I can't wait to see her at that.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second.
A billion.
Okay, I think we have consensus.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone have
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice
All right,
job,
let's
Don.
keep our fingers and toes crossed that we will have a nominee very soon.
Absolutely.
Okay, someone else just voted nay on adjourning the meeting. Who wants to continue?
Ah,
I have a feeling that was a mistake due to being too tired.
Can't you see who votes what?
I stand by, yeah, absolutely.
Tom?
No, I stand by my convictions. I stand by my convictions. I voted exactly how I voted because I want to keep talking. It's rare that we get to spend this much time together. I think you guys are a bunch of party poopers wanting to end this early.
Okay.
Some
I'll
of us
even
have
go on
work at
camera.
6:30
So it's
a.m.
time to consider revoking a certain club's charter.
Go to a bar and talk, Matthew.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
We should do that.
Bye.
We
Good
should, we should
night.
have his time just to talk, though.
We should.
Okay. Enjoy.
Good night.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.